So here's where evolution falls flat because evolution only talks about the first organism being an amoeba that crept out of the ocean, but no one talks about where the ocean came from.
Right.
No one talks about why it's salinated. No one talks about how the hell the ocean is there and what came first, the sun, the atmosphere, or water, because those are your three essentials to creating life.
Yeah. I believe I don't know what the Quran says about it, but the longer I get, like the more I get, the more I read. So the Bible says that God created the heavens and the earth, right? And then He created earth and the firmament that separates the waters above from the waters below. And I never really until I got older now, coming on, I'm closer to 50 than I am to 40, and I used to ask why the sky was blue, and they'd be like, "Oh, it's a reflection of the ocean," you know. And I'm like, "Well, what makes the ocean blue?" You know, that's just water. Like when I pour water out of my tap, it doesn't have a color. Like the water, I don't pour blue water, right?
Mm.
And so yeah, I get to that point. Like creation is, and I'm a very logical man. Creation is the only logical explanation for what we live. It really is. Like if you step aside and you look at it, and they have one scientific argument after the next, and they'll disprove it, and then they just come up with a new one. Oh wait, no, we were a little bit wrong on that. This is why, you know. And it's like, okay, at the end of the day, why do we still have apes? Like that's at the end of the day, if that's what we came from, then why are they still here? And then why are they not turning into humans? You know what I mean? Like it's just so illogical.
See, here's where I have a problem with this is because and this actually happened the other day when I was on a live with somebody else, and you had an atheist who came up who said they only believe in science, and we went through this entire discussion. He first started with the entire theory of evolution and Darwinism and all this other stuff. So when I provided him with the scientific research that actually disproves the entire premise that Darwin's theory is predicated on. And I showed him within Darwin's theory, the published theory itself, there is an entire excerpt written by Darwin himself where he says that he cannot prove nor disprove this. It's simply a theory, it is simply conjecture. Okay. He then moved on to exactly what, Mo just said. He jumped into the Big Bang Theory. Now, here's where I have an issue when one person brings up the Big Bang Theory. Okay. And follow my logic on this. Big Bang Theory. How did it happen? Oh, well, it was a collision of this and that and blah, blah. Great. So who created those things for them to collide? Oh,
Right.
well, it was created from atoms. Okay, great. Who created the atoms? Oh, that was based on bacteria, which is incorrect because atoms do not get created by bacteria. But I followed their logic. I said, great. Who created the bacteria? Oh, well, it was found during in the initial cells. Okay, great. Who created the initial cells? Oh, well, they were created from the energy of the sun. Okay, who created the energy of the sun? And this is where it became really interesting because their response was, oh, energy doesn't need a point of creation. Energy can just exist on its own, which is true if you follow the law of thermodynamics.
Right.
However, quantum mechanics in the last 15 years has made huge driving force behind this, because what they did is they disproved that there's no need for a starting point to initiate energy, because you can still have negative energy present, but it needs to be created from somewhere in order for it to be converted into 100% energy. It has to transfer. Where does it transfer from? There's a convergence point. What is that convergence point based on? An initial point. If there was no initiating point, then why can energy exist within a vacuum? Okay, and this is exactly the theory that was proposed at the 2016 symposium by actually, one of the most respected science academies, which would be the British Ministry of Science. They came up and said it just is not feasible. There's no way that you can honestly say that this is a theory that holds water, aside from the fact that the biggest challenge for the Big Bang Theory is continual expansion of the universe through the dark matter that was generated during the Big Bang. One, as we've seen, the universe hasn't continually expanded at the rate that it would have to expand at the initial point of convergence and explosion from the Big Bang Theory, because you know what, you'd have multiverses. Okay, and on top of that, there's no evidence of dark matter still existing anywhere
Let me
in any stratosphere. So again, when you have people that want to use science to justify or negate, rather to negate the belief in God and justify their disbelief in a creator, they're going to go to limits that you just sit there scratching your head going, do you hear yourself? What
let me
did you just say?
You're clearly like quantum mechanics and all that. I don't. Once you throw the word quantum in, like I don't really get it. But let me ask you this. So they keep saying expanding universe, right? How do they know that? Right? Like what is it that's saying that's happening? Like who's saying that's happening? What is the evidence? What is the scientific experiment for
And that's a great question that I would love to hear. I'd love to know the scientific method behind actually being able to test it.
Right. That's what I'm saying. There's so much in science. Do you guys know? And I wanted to bring this up when you were talking to the other dude about the original topic was the science. Like when you hear the science, do you know that's patented?
Is it really?
Yes. The
Wait,
science is patented. So that's a term that has nothing to do with science. But everywhere we heard, the science is settled. The science, the science, the phrase the science is literally patented. Don't
wow.
believe me? Go look it, go down the rabbit hole. Like it's patented. It's patented by a guy that lives in a territory that's occupying another territory, but that's a different conversation. But um the science is literally patented. So you keep hearing this word. The science says the universe is ever expanding. Okay, but what's the scientific method, right? Like I grew up where you had to test stuff. Like you had to have variables. You had to have an independent
Absolutely.
variable. You had to have a dependent variable, and you had to be able to change it and repeat and that doesn't exist anymore.
No, right now it's literally it's and I say this with regret and sorrow. Science within the last couple of decades has receded in, you know, meeting the expected, burden of proof in proving or disproving something, because there's no method behind it. It's
No,
become, if you publish theory and you can have a school of other people who share the same thoughts and ideas as you do approve of it and expand on it and expound on it, then guess what? The theory holds viability. If you present it properly in front of a board of review and the board of review says, that sounds acceptable, it sounds logical, it gets approved as a theory. And it's like, that's not how it works. Hold on. What happened to the entire scientific method? What happened to actual research and development of a thought?
and not only let me ask this the one truth because I've been on this gravity rabbit hole, right? Because everyone says gravity like, and I don't know what holds us to the earth, whatever. But the point of the rabbit hole I went down was there's never been an experiment. There's been observation. Like you drop something, it falls. That's an observation. Like there's never been well, it falls at this rate, and okay, why? What is your independent variable, dependent variable? Like there's no such thing. They don't exist, but they kick back and they put their feet up on the desk in their big university